Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chu and today I'm going to walk you through how I sort of made a Breaking Bad type beat. Before I begin, I would like to say that 2 kits from my site are now free. So click the link in the description after the video to grab those. Now, my hardcore supporters know that there is quite a bit of Breaking Bad content on my channel already. In my opinion, Breaking Bad is a modern masterpiece. I regularly turn to it for imaginative inspiration whenever I'm in a creative slump. Case in point, I've been in a pretty bad beat block recently. Actually, it's the worst one I've ever experienced. And I honestly saw no end in sight. So when I heard that Breaking Bad showrunner Vince Gilligan was returning to Netflix with an original Breaking Bad film, I lost my shit. I began re-binging the entire series and the inspiration poured in immediately. There are many themes that are present in Breaking Bad. Sin, the importance of family, power and its corruptive influence, envy and regret, so on and so forth. But one theme that stood out to me this go around was the theme of complex overthinking versus simple execution. To explain in brevity, many times throughout the show, the main characters are severely punished for overthinking their situation. And these scenarios are almost always overcome by a very simple solution that could have been implemented from the start. I took this theme to heart and tried to implement it into my music production workflow, less stressing about tiny sounds that could or could not make the beat a Grammy winner and more focus on the end goal of making something that actually sounds good. Today I'm going to break down my new simplified workflow and show you how I used it to make a Breaking Bad inspired beat. There will be timestamps provided in the description so that you can jump around to the parts that matter most to you and so that you can quickly reference back to a topic at a later point. Forgive me for the long intro, I've definitely talked you to death, so let's just get fucking started. Shout out to the comment winners. Comment below for a chance to be featured in the next video. Drop a like if you learned anything new or if you just enjoyed the video. And subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all future content. Okay, step 1. The melody. I mean, fucking duh, right? But you would be surprised how many people either don't begin with the melody or simply don't consider the melody to be a driving force in beat production. While there is no hard and steadfast rule about production workflow,
what is the most long to take? The drums?
The drums. I don't give a fuck about nothing else.
Many musicians, artists, and producers, including me, will tell you that all music is melodically driven to some degree. That is, if your melody is ass, you're gonna need to start over, chief. In making my Breaking Bad type beat, I knew that I needed to make a melody that was simple enough that I could expand later if need be, but still good enough to carry its full weight melodically within the production. I knew I wanted to go for that deep, dark Latin strum vibe, so I went to my old trusty friend, the minor harmonic scale. I began by clicking this simple chord progression into FL keys, my favorite piano VST. After that, I brought the chords into an instance of real guitar. After I brought in the MIDI, I added some melodic groove by arpeggiating each chord in the progression. So here's what our chord progression sounds like after being imported into real guitar and having the chords arpeggiated. Once I heard this, I knew I had the exact Walter White El Chapo vibe that I was looking for. I added some detune with Isotope Vinyl, a free VST. I tossed on some delay using the Widen preset from Fruity Delay 2, and then I did a very simple EQ to cut out all unneeded and unwanted frequencies. I then exported the melody as a WAV file to save some processing power. Here's what the final melody came out sounding like. If you like this melody, you can find it and many more in my new Rituals Volume 3 loop kit, which I released in collaboration with my good friend and melodic deity, Jack. There will be a link to that in the description below if you're interested. Alright, step 2, bass. Now, in my opinion, where you go after you complete the melody is completely subjective. Personally, I like to go to the bass next because I consider this to be a part of the melody. Not only that, I consider it to be equally as important as the melody, if not more. In fact, the only thing that keeps me from starting with my bass sound is that I need to hear a melody in order to come up with a good bass progression. I find myself having to start over whenever I begin with the bass. So for this beat, I wanted to invoke some of my inner Mike Dean. With the melody playing, I grabbed my bass guitar and started to fuck around. At first, I was trying to be way too complex, which is what I was trying to avoid in the first place with this beat. After some time contemplating the complexity versus simplicity concept, I ended up with this simple riff. It's only 3 notes, and on its own, it sounds like the most uninspired guitar riff perhaps ever. But after a bit of EQ and distortion, I played the melody together with the bass pattern. And I realized I was actually getting somewhere. Step 3, hi-hats and open hats. I made this a section of its own because it seems that many producers these days, myself included, tend to totally overthink the hi-hat, open hat programming process. Perhaps here, more than in any other section, simplicity is key. It's not to say that hi-hat glitches and consistently hitting pitched open hats aren't cool or that they are ineffective, but in my own opinion and experience, they really aren't that difference making and oftentimes are overdone in order to compensate for another area of the beat that may be lacking. Keeping this in mind, I made this simple hi-hat pattern. And this even simpler open hat pattern. All the drum sounds used in this beat can be found in my new Royal Blessings drum kit, which I released on my site in collaboration with my friend Hayes. If you would like to test out some of the sounds from this kit for free, you can click the link in the description to have them delivered instantly to your email. Okay, here's what all our hat sounds sound like together. And here is what it all sounds like combined with the melody and bass. My goal was to create something simple but bouncy enough to create a flow for an artist that may be listening to the beat. Too many glitches and too many percussive sounds overall can fill up all the space that an artist would be using to flow on your beat. So while you may have something that sounds good production-wise, all those extra sounds will essentially make the beat useless to artists. Step 4, all other drums. In keeping up with the trend of simplicity, I created this kick pattern. Added this extremely complex clap pattern. Then I added a perk loop that I found on Splice that sounded pretty good. So here's what all the drums sound like together. And here's what that all sounds like with the melody and bass included. seem rudimentary and even a bit counterintuitive to have such simple drums. But if you've honestly created a dope vibe with your other sounds, especially the melody, then I would recommend taking the simplest approach to the drum programming. I even do this deliberately sometimes because I know that I can get sucked into a rabbit hole if I start to overthink the percussive elements. It can oftentimes even kill my entire vibe for the beat, causing me to abandon it totally and start something new. I feel like I'm the only one who suffers from this, but let me know in the comment section if you go through this and how you work to overcome it. So that's it. In 4 simple steps: a simple chord progression with arpeggiation, a 3-note bass guitar riff, a 2-step hi-hat pattern with a couple of stutters and a basic open hat pattern, a hard-hitting kick clap pattern supplemented by a simple perk loop, we were able to create this fire Breaking Bad inspired beat. Now, I am going to play the beat for the outro. Remember, not everything has to be so simple, but if it is complex to the point of frustration, you're probably doing it wrong. Music production is a fun, free-flowing, and spiritually calming experience. When in doubt, just keep it simple. When in doubt, just create. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed. Hit the like button if you learned something new or feel inspired to make some heat. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that I can buzz away in your pockets whenever I have some new content to share with you. And of course, stay happy, stay healthy, and always be creating. Just make sure it's dope content only. Peace.
You